So the other thing I love to do at this time of year is obviously put a lot of compost out onto my soil. I have a very hungry soil here, and in my garden beds, particularly my vegetable garden or my herb garden, I have to keep adding the layers of compost every year because it's such a hungry soil. That's really what brings food, and that's all I ever put on my soil. So composting is an important part of gardening, and if I had a bit more time, I would do this a little bit better. I would turn it more regularly, because when you're turning compost regularly, you're bringing air into the system and it rots down much more quickly. But I have a 3-bay kind of area here. I bring all my new stuff, so my lawn clippings, my food materials, any of my garden green refuge comes into here. And then I leave that, and that rots down, and that actually turns into this. And this is what I'm using at the moment, which is a pretty good compost. And if it's got a bit of moisture, it's humus, it's not quite edible, but it's, you know, it's pretty good, and there's a good amount of worm activity in there. So I hope to empty that this season. So I've then got an empty bay, and I'll then turn this bay over into that bay so that I'm bringing air into the system, and it allows it to rot down a bit more quickly. So I'm just going to dig this up, put it into my barrow, and we're going to do a little bit of top dressing just in my herb garden. Now again, I said it a bit earlier, but you never dig compost into the ground very deeply. You always leave it on the top of the soil surface, or just crumb it into that surface area, because that's where all your feeder roots are. And if your compost isn't completely rotted down, handy addition to the compost, if you bury it, you actually set up a thing called aerobic respiration, which is actually not good for plants. We want aerobic, which uses oxygen, which if you bury material that's still rotting down, it's actually going to become anaerobic. So here's my herb bed. You'll see it's not a bad soil, but it's not a great soil, and I've crumbed a bit of clay from the original soil and then just built this up over a couple of years. So this is my bed of oregano, which is just starting to come away. So I literally grab my compost and I work it into that, you know, so while I'm sitting it on the surface, I am actually just crumbing it in a little bit and bringing it right around into that zone of the plant material. And this is really what they love. It's like a good meal at a restaurant. They'll get right into that, and it just makes everything look so much better too.